Hi, my name is Neil Sheff. I grew up in Los Angeles, born here in the 1960s. I was running around in an area called South Central LA, which was basically the hub of the Ladino Sephardic community back then. The Sephardic temple that you know on Wilshire was there on what was then called Santa Barbara Avenue, now Martin Luther King. And the Sephardic Hebrew Center was the synagogue for the Jews of Rhodes. My grandmother was born on the island of Rhodes, my grandfather in Bulgaria, and basically we split time between the two until I was a little bit older, and we then mainly were at the Sephardic Hebrew Center. And being an only child, I kind of had play dates with all the old ladies, and that's how I learned Ladino. Picked it up and eventually went to Jewish school here in Jewish high school in LA, Hillel and Rambam, where at that time I was very unique being Sephardic, probably one of the only 2 or 3 students at school there. So it was very unusual. When I graduated high school, I went to UCLA, and in my 3rd year went to spend a year in Israel in 1980. And it happened to be the first summer of the Sephardic Educational Center 40 years ago. The founder, Dr. Nessem, was like a father to me, told me that I should go by and see what it was all about. When I did, ended up staying for about 8 summers as a counselor, and got very involved that way, and came back. We started a youth movement, had a few hundred weddings, including my own as a result. Today I'm the president of the Sephardic Educational Center. I'm proud of it. But the Ladino community is still near and dear to my heart, and still remember going trick-or-treating in Leimert Park, where one house after another was a Sephardic Ladino family, and being at the end of the line one year in my devil costume, and when I got to the front door and asked the lady, Mrs. Benvenisti, why she was giving me candies, "Don't you know who I am?" And when I took off my mask, she exclaimed in the typical Ladino fashion, "Adio, dio, dio, entra, pasha." Oh my God, come on in. We went straight to the freezer, where she opened it, put some Bourekas in my pumpkin. That was Halloween in Leimert Park back then. I grew up and spent a lot of my time with the older generation and learned the customs and prayers, and luckily I did, and trying to pass that on to my kids. But we try to keep all that alive with the work we do at the Sephardic Educational Center, and know that we all our families came here at one time, couldn't speak a word of English, just like the Jews of Rhodes. All they could say was, most of the time, was 5 cents a bunch, because they were flower sellers, and all made it great, which inspires me today as an immigration lawyer to help other immigrants, and know that they come here with a great desire to make good for themselves, their families, and help America. So I'm happy that my Sephardic story, from my family of immigrants who came here in the 1920s and made their home here. Now I'm helping others make their home here. Many people don't know that the Jews of Rhodes also suffered in the Holocaust, and maybe I'll show you some photos of my grandmother's cousins who lived in Rhodes. One of them was saved. The one on the left went to Israel. The one on the right went, unfortunately, to Auschwitz. And these were some of the girls that they were friends with. My mother's aunt and uncle and her 2 cousins. One that went to Israel, saved, the others in Auschwitz. That's a little bit of my story. And it's great to be part of the fabric of the Sephardic community here.